This one's a cool story. Love what I saw from Oklahoma State basketball. D. Mitchell works as a produce stalker at Walmart, right? This is a guy that full-time student, full-time athlete. He's a junior on the basketball team. So in the middle of his shift from 1 to 10 p.m., his head coach surprised him with a scholarship. And the reaction after will bring you to tears. This is a dude, like I said, is a full-time athlete, full-time student. And he also works at Walmart, full shifts daily. This is unbelievable. This guy breaks down. First person he calls is his mom. It took me back to my days on the college campus. And then we question these guys, and we question if we should pay them. Absolutely, we should pay college athletes when they put in that much work. This is a great story, great job by Oklahoma State.
Love that.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hey, Bill Maher, new rule time. No more tailgating fouls. This is a Trae Young specialty. There's 9 guys that want to play basketball. One guy named Trae Young is out here playing bumper cars. From now on, we take a page from the football arena. You know, when we make a catch, it has to be a football move, and it's like, well, what's a football move? It's like, well, you got to tuck it or you got to do something. From now on, if you want to call a shooting foul, it needs to be a basketball move, which jumping backwards isn't, unless you're playing basketball in a haunted house. So if we ever stage games in a haunted house, I'm totally okay with I'm shooting. But otherwise, no more tailgating fouls.
Wild's tailgating take brought to you by Kevin Durant's swipe through and James Harden's run to the basket for his beloved Nets. Okay, speaking of football, though, the Buffalo Bills. Listen, Bills players, congrats on what's been an excellent year, and I'm sorry it's going to end in such embarrassment on Sunday. Bills organization, you should be proud. You have excellent coaches. You have excellent staff. Bills social media team. It's now a war. I saw what you put out there yesterday.
Wow.
Trying to compile my old clips. Trying to act like I'm a dope. Using Brandon's term, okay, buddy. I saw that okay, buddy. That means you watched the show. And yes, we will see you in KC. And that's going to end with Bills Mafia tears. So enjoy this moment, relish in this moment, because it ends Sunday around 7:40 p.m. Eastern time. And it'll be the last time you guys are relevant for at least 9 months. So there it is. Enjoy it, revel in it, but it's about to be over.
It's not good, Nick.
Yeah, okay,
Nick
buddy.
is making enemies by the day. Enemies by the day. So I'm switching back and forth between the Nets game and the Knicks game last night, only to see James Ennis, E for effort. E for Ennis, actually. I know what you're going to say. He's being a little dramatic, trying to get the ball, a little theatrical. Maybe. Or maybe, maybe he doesn't like Gatorade. There's a lot of sugar. Maybe he has an anti-in-game refreshment policy. I don't know. Maybe he saw a bug and he doesn't like it there. I'm so tired of everyone saying athletes are too theatrical. They're too dramatic. They're such divas. They go all out. Right, Brandon? I'm over it. And I get he only had 5 points in 24 minutes yesterday. But that right there, and Nick knows it's hard to get my stamp of approval. James Ennis with my stamp of approval. Not for being dramatic. Too much sugar in Gatorade. That's what I'm going with.
Jim is just anti-Gatorade.
Right.
This is just an anti-Gatorade.
Zero sugar Gatorade.
There's so much sugar in Gatorade.
Fact check your own. No. Okay. Keep going.
On to Deshaun Watson.
Let's just keep going.
It is hard to imagine the Texans can't find a way to make things work, but Deshaun was left on the outside of the team's GM search, and the team was somehow not all in on his preferred coach candidates. Thus, Deshaun is now reportedly not returning the Texans' phone calls. Yeah, but did you try texting or DMing? Maybe Wild's Bird can deliver a petition. Either way, they cannot get in touch with him. Brandon, you were way ahead of this story. Here's what you said last Wednesday.
So Deshaun Watson is looking at this thing and saying, well, I don't know if I'm comfortable here. And there's other players like Dwayne Brown stepping up and saying, I wasn't comfortable there. This is a big story, and I think this is just the beginning, Nick.
All right, Brandon, that was last week. So now, today, as we sit here this morning, has Deshaun, in your opinion, played his last game with the Houston Texans?
Absolutely. We will never see Deshaun Watson in a Texans uniform again. There's two things here that you got to look at. One, you got to think about this organization and how they play, the role they've played or not played when it comes to social injustice and just being leaders in the community. They have shown you who they are, right? Time and time again. So when you look at that during these times, 2020, racial tension soaring, talk about it all the time. How do you have a black quarterback and you handle these situations this way? And then on the other end of the spectrum, you look at the football team, it's like, why should he come back? You trade away my best player, DeAndre Hopkins. He goes out and have an all-pro, Pro Bowl type year. And then you look at the offensive line, they're just okay. And then on the defensive side, you really don't have anything over there. So if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm looking at this situation like, this is my time to get out for those two reasons. Ownership is a mess. And then on the field, we have no clue what we're doing. We have no GM. We have no head coach. Now, obviously, they're going through, they're doing their diligence and trying to fill those gaps. But at the same time, this is not a team that can go out there and compete next year. This is a team that is 3-4 years away when you look at their salary cap and you also look at what they have in the draft, which is almost nothing, Nick.
Yeah, so I agree with almost all of that. But if I'm the Houston Texans, the only thing I have is Deshaun Watson. And so if I'm going to trade Deshaun Watson, I see people are tweeting me like, hey, could the Patriots get him for 3 first-round picks? No, you can't. Laramie Tunsil went for 2 first-round picks. Jamal Adams went for 2 first-round picks. Jalen Ramsey went for 2 first-round picks. I wouldn't trade Deshaun Watson for all 3 of those players. That's 6 first-round picks. So, Wilds, I am going to create a new marketplace. I'm going to try to be an innovator here. Here is the trade that San Francisco or whomever should offer. It's never been done before. You give us Deshaun Watson. We give you our first-round pick every year he's on the roster in perpetuity.
Is that allowed?
So as long as he's our quarterback... Sure, you could, until we trade or cut him ourselves, you get our first-round pick. Yeah. If you want to put an expiration date on it of 2029 where it caps out at 9 first-rounders, fine. But that's the trade. That's the only trade I would consider if I were the Texans. Otherwise, you can't get fair value. So you want Deshaun. I want your first-round pick every year he's on your roster. The moment you decide he's not worth it, you cut him and your obligation expires. You no longer owe us anything. But if he's your quarterback, we get your first-round pick. Otherwise, there's no value here. The whole point of the draft is to try to find a franchise quarterback. Deshaun Watson is 25. Everyone's like, oh, you know how old Lamar is? You know, everyone compares him to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's 24. Deshaun's 25. You can't trade this player unless you are getting franchise-changing equity, Wilds.
I love it. All right, so I've got my own offer. I think the Jets need to make the Bizarro Godfather offer. Here's why I'm calling it the Bizarro Godfather.
players like Dwayne Brown stepping up and saying, I wasn't comfortable there. This is a big story, and I think this is just the beginning, Nick.
All right, Brandon, that was last week. So now, today, as we sit here this morning, has Deshaun, in your opinion, played his last game with the Houston Texans?
Absolutely. We will never see Deshaun Watson in a Texans uniform again. There's two things here that you got to look at. One, you got to think about this organization and how they play